And, you can call me the Black Lois Lane because I have this weird knack of remembering things that I really shouldn't, because it serves me really no purpose unless it comes to this kind of stuff. But I do.
I don't know about you, but I'm in the Christmas spirit. It's one of my favorite times of the year, but this year is really special. I made a new friend called No Fugazee Podcast, and he's made it so possible for me to buy anything I wanted for the holidays. Let's start the show. One of you guys is saying that my best buddy No Fugazee Podcast is a liar, and I don't really like that. But the person who's calling him a liar is actually my future ex-wife, who has some really good information on my best friend No Fugazee. Rewind! If you guys don't know, I Am Courtney Michelle is one of the most journalistic YouTubers on planet Earth. If that's even a word, stop the show. Is journalistic even a word? It might be. I'm just dumb and it's too late right now. But when she decides to really hone in on somebody, she does. And she can find almost any contradiction on the internet. She's on Abba and Preach's level with doing that. So, No Fugazee Podcast has been accused of stealing a lot of material from Myron, Satan the Sinner, and whoever else, like even Donovan Sharp. But the question is it true? Courtney Michelle put out a video called When Cloning Goes Wrong. And the idea of this video is that No Fugazee Podcast is a Myron clone. And all of the ideas that he talks about on this channel are not his own. He steals word for word things from Myron Gaines and other content creators, and then tries to use that plagiarism to make a career on YouTube. And of course, we have seen evidence of that. But let's go to point number one. Mr. Fugazee is an extreme grifter.
Do you believe you're a top tier man? By what standard?
I'm 6'4", only about 8% of the entire world is 6'4". I make well over 100K a year. And I'm black at that if you add that on. So just if we're speaking about those figures, the things that women are attracted to, no, I'm not gonna toot my own horn, but I'll let you do the math.
So we've all seen that clip, right? We've seen that clip a lot. And I know what you guys are gonna say. That clip is doctored up. But that's not why Courtney Michelle played that clip. You see, she knew that you would say that, but again, she already understood the agenda at hand. Courtney Michelle looked at the Fresh and Fit debate of popular YouTuber H3H3. And I know what you're thinking. What does No Fugazee Podcast and the Fresh and Fit H3H3 interview have anything or any commonality between the two ideas? Well, I'm glad you asked this question, because H3H3 is going to prove a point that Myron is actually a hypocrite to his own message, but he's actually going to expose No Fugazee by doing this.
Only 4% of male population is over 6'2". Less than 3% of males make over 300,000. Only 5% of men are in shape with abs, and only only most other men have a personality that's actually makes them desirable to women. I have to invest in these other three so that we don't have to think about that.
You see, he's reading off of Myron's profile on some sugar daddy site. But do you hear what he's saying? He's saying and reading off the same percentages that Mr. No Fugazee Podcast ran it off in the Tonight's Conversation. That's pretty much word for word. See, the No Fugazee Podcast, he acts like he's a very smart guy, a very well-read guy, a very statistic, numerate guy. He's not a numerate guy. He hears somebody else say some numbers, then he'll go and say those same numbers. Like, let me prove it here. This is Courtney Michelle's work, not even mine, all right? Give her a round of applause. The Satan the Sinner came to the defense of the No Fugazee Podcast. And when he did so, he put out some interesting numbers to support his claim.
Listen, I want to make a public service announcement for all you racists and psychopaths. If you're a person who is saying that you exclusively date only outside of your race, you're a psychopath and a racist, and you probably hate yourself. Okay, so if you're a white person, you only date black people, or you only date Chinese people, you're a psychopath and you hate yourself.
So No Fugazi Podcast, who's an ally of the Saint in the Center, well, he did exactly the same thing that the Saint in the Center did.
Any person that only dates outside their race, they have a problem. They have a problem with self-hate, and they're probably a little racist against their own race. So yeah, don't be like one of those type of guys that only date outside your race.
Stop the cap.
He put out the same exact numbers. Shout out to I Am Courtney Michelle, because that journalism degree is coming through. This is why I probably won't end up marrying her, because all of my cheating will get caught, and so I'm scared. I got to get my life together first. Love you, boo. Fast forward! The second point that Courtney Michelle is going to put out is that Mr. No Fugazi Podcast insults his audience.
O'Shea bringing in some low IQ people. What the heck? You got low IQ. That is how this works. You on my platform. Stupid. Low IQ. Let me prove to you how dumb you are. How many times I gotta explain it? Low IQ, bro. Wake up. Fatty has low IQ. He doesn't know how to differentiate the two.
And she's gonna say that he gets the same idea from Myron.
I'm not triggered. It's just very difficult having a conversation with people that have lower IQ.
You might not know about them because you're low IQ and stupid, but that doesn't mean that everyone else doesn't have to know about them. There is no fire. You're just low IQ and don't answer questions.
You see, No Fugazi Podcast and Myron both like to believe that they are highly intelligent, and the way that they want to establish that is by simply calling other people that disagree with them low IQ. Well, the reality is that No Fugazi Podcast is just set up to fail, because look at who he followed. He followed Myron Gaines, who got demonetized and got exposed. And remember, Myron's the other guy who talked so bad about OnlyFans models and got exposed by Mrs. Cheeks by damn near getting her pregnant and then trying to help her establish her OnlyFans audience, while at the same time telling his own audience, don't deal with OnlyFans models. And not only is Myron a hypocrite to that, he had this dusty yacht party where he had nothing but 304s there who were OnlyFans models on the boat. But again, Mr. No Fugazi does that all the time. He tries to tell somebody that they're low IQ and they're not smart. Well, really, he is the one with the low IQ, because he got caught, and he got caught very easily. The same way that Myron got caught and lost all of his monetization, but somebody else is the one with the low IQ. And you can consistently see Myron crashing out, destroying whatever little opportunities he had left by dissing protected groups and talking trash to people and putting his life in danger on X or whatever platforms you have left. Now, this third part is inspired by Courtney Michelle, but she didn't cover it. But I noticed something. I had to get my investigation on. I'm not as good as her, but I noticed something. No Fugazi would like to be like Myron if women get out of line. Let me explain what I'm saying. They want to invite women to their podcast that they probably have a good idea at a certain point will crash out. Now, No Fugazi Podcast also does his streams live, just like Fresh and Fit. They also have women live. They talk about single moms live. And when something goes bad, this happens.
It's not that she doesn't know it. She's feeling overwhelmed. Not everybody is a public speaker. I can speak confidently. She can't.
You talk too much.
Of course I do. It's fine.
Like, shut the f for 2 seconds. Yeah, who the f are you talking to?
Who are you talking to? Do you
get the f off my shit, man.
Who
Bitch, get the f off my shit. Get the f off my shit. Get the f out of here, bro.
But wait a minute. This can also happen on the No Fugazi Podcast.
You can't handle
And it's
that.
not only for your man.
That's on you. You can't handle
You
that
sound
with your
crazy
female.
right now. No, not at all.
I feel sorry
But
for whoever
listen,
you date, because baby, I could never be trapped in the box.
We actually
I like
gonna end
pussy
this.
too
You
much. I
up
like
out of
that.
here. It's time for you to go.
I ain't
You're
going
not paying
nowhere.
to the rules.
For the peoples.
Steve, you can go ahead and do what you do best.
Do what you do best. I cause the peoples.
Yes. Call the boys. Yeah, call the boys. She don't want to leave.
Call them.
It's time for you to go.
So I know what you're going to say. Well, O'Shea, you're not being realistic because, hey, that lady was being belligerent, so he had to kick her out. Well, let me just tell you this. I have a podcast called the Repat Podcast, okay? And I have never, and we have over 200 episodes, kicked anybody out. I have never gotten to the point where we've even had to argue or it got tense that someone needed to leave my house. It's just never happened. But it would happen if you take the entire formula from Fresh and Fit and try to spin it as your own without giving them credit and just doing it at a very dustier level with less production and less talent. yeah, you would become No Fugazi Podcast trying to compete for the same audience with doing less work and less investment. That's pretty much what No Fugazi is. He's a guy that's a grifter that learned everything from somebody else and just trying to do a worse product of what it is. And he's been found out, and not that it matters to anybody, but it's kind of sad. I wish that creators would just stick to trying to be more like themselves instead of like everyone else. But guys, what do you think? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. Producer for all that you do. Subscribe to the bell. We're out.